is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment. And here, we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And welcome to the show, everybody. I know, Rochelle. I know. We have to change the opening because now it should be with Kevin and Rochelle. And so we're working on that. And we'll have a brand new opening for the new year because I don't know if you've noticed, but it's Christmas week. And it's almost time for the new year. So we've got a great show for you today. It's going to be a very educational show from a gentleman who knows his stuff, as it were. Would you like to introduce him, Rochelle?
I'd love to. We have Nathan LaChine here with us today. Last name is LaChine. He's a little special. Gets that famous last name. He has a website called Evergreen Caregiver Support.org. And before we deep dive into Nathan and the website and all those fun things, thank you for being here, Nathan. How are you today?
Oh, I am fantastic. Happy to be here with both of you amazing folks today.
Yes.
It is sensational because we're going to be talking about the foster care system, the protective services, on all of that. You've been doing this in the state of Washington, where I happen to live. But you see, some people would say we're on the left coast. But especially when I was in Arkansas, you're from the left coast over there and stuff. But you've been doing foster care for 20 years. You have been working with the University of Washington. You've got a nonprofit organization. You are really working to make the system as it is better and revamping where we can so that the kids, I suppose and I'll ask you, is the goal to put you out of work and not have there be any foster kid?
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely, Kevin. The goal really is always reunification. And, I'm actually a third generation foster parent, which is something kind of unique of my grandparents, my parents, my aunts and uncles, and now me. And it's always been about that reunification. And I would love to be put out of a job. And, we're seeing massive decreases in the number of kids coming into care because they're able to stay with extended families now through the new kinship licensing programs and different things here in Washington.
Talk about that a little bit, because I sense that that's not everywhere in the country yet. And this is kind of a pilot program. Explain what exactly you're talking about.
Yeah, so through kinship is just considered either through blood, so that would be older siblings, aunts and uncles, grandparents, or it could be fictive kin, somebody who just had a relationship with a kid before they came into care. And we've known for a long time, if kids can go to extended family and stay within the kinship, it's less traumatic, there's better supports, it's better for everyone involved. So what Washington State has really been pushing is new kinship licenses. So the kinship provider is able to get the same basic foster care stipend rate that a foster parent would get. They get preferential fast tracking to be licensed, and then they get supports to layer on of what does a kiddo need, what does a family's dynamics need, how do we help with school and education, how do we help with those basic what we call concrete goods. So they're able to get access to some of the same resources that a licensed foster home would get without having to be a foster parent per se. They're a kinship provider, and then they get licensed as a kinship provider to get all these additional supports so we can keep kids with families.
How does that work? Because now Rochelle's in Salt Lake City, and she's got a ton of little chickies that follow her around that are teenagers and preteens and stuff that are from her family and extended family. Is that something that, like, if Rochelle if she were in the state of Washington, I don't know if they've got that in Utah yet, but if she were in the state of Washington, could she become a foster parent and to take care of some of the teenage kids that are in her family that she's close to?
Mhm. Oh gosh, yeah. We really look at, the basic principle is it safe for the kiddo, and what can we do to improve that placement stability for the kids? And we've seen single parents, we've seen actually older siblings that might only be 21 and they're taking on their 16-year-old or even sometimes 17-year-old younger siblings, because we know if we can provide the supports for that family, it's just a better placement option, usually across the board, to keep kids with family.
And Rochelle, talk about that, about your extended family a little bit.
Yeah, I'd love to share that specifically because I've got all these little cousins and I love them dearly. I do not make enough to take all five of them,
Mhm.
but I help with as much as that I can. One of them being 17 now, she's fully in my charge. And I love my family, but really what this conversation brings me to think about, Nathan, is their family and their friends. Lots of these little kiddos and their friends, you see, well, mom doesn't care if I'm home. There's, dad's off doing something, or, grandma owns the house and she's always mad, so I don't want to be there. There's all these different factors that I'm seeing all of these kids, mainly from the ages of 12 to 19, that would tell you they don't really have a home because where they're at is not home. And there's this huge thing that comes up, right? It's like, oh, well, call CPS or call the state or do this or do that. And then those fears come up where you don't want necessarily to rip everything from the bottom up. You don't want to stir things so hard, because when a child is already in their teenage years, to them, that's normal. This is just their life. They know how to function. But when you go in and arrange that and change it, like as a foster parent, is there certain guidelines or specific things that you've learned that are best to have within yourself for when that child comes from where they've been to you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it really comes down to understanding and looking at the world from the kid's perspective, because
Mm,
they have been in those, crisis moments, or those, a lot of transitioning and a lot of things. And those can be, that's the comfort zone, right?
mhm,
Because that's kind of what you get to know. And now coming to like Nathan's house, it's like, oh, it's quiet. I have my own bedroom. We do meals at these times. We do these things at these times. That actually can feel unsafe to them because it's just different. So it's really kind of, how do you first start your conversation with them? We do tours of our house when the kids come to us. So, we introduce ourselves, we say our pronouns, my husband and I do, show them where the kitchen is, show them where their bedroom, their bathroom, just kind of run them through everything, and, give them time to just kind of acclimate and understand that some of our kids want to be in their room for a week or two by themselves, and they just, only want to come out to eat and don't want to do family dinners. That's great. Your plate's on the table. It's, saran wrapped in the microwave for you. Come grab it when you're ready, and just understanding and not pushing, because so many of
mm,
these kids, it becomes a challenge, and it's like everything becomes like this power struggle. Like, I want to feel safe. I want to trust you, but truly, who's disappointed them? It's an adult.
yep.
What am I? An adult. At least I'd like to think I'm an adult, right?
Right. Wait, so in order for you to allow the child to feel like they have control and some sense of safety in your home, you allow the space of surrender.
Yeah, we allow them the time they need to feel and get comfortable and kind of get to know the routines of the house, because every house is totally different, and
Mhm.
that's can be challenging because they just don't know. So we do little things like, we make sure all of our kids have their own bedrooms. We actually put night lights in the bedrooms and the hallways and everything, because there's always that fear of the darkness, and the teenager's never going to tell you, "Oh, I'm afraid of the dark," but they like having the night lights. And then we give them ownership, like, little things like, what do you like to eat? Help us with the shopping list. So my husband and I primarily work with older kids. So we're always trying to find those opportune moments of like, tell us, what do you like to eat? Why don't you put that on the shopping list so we can get it? Do you want to learn how to cook this? What did you guys used to eat? And, because food is such a primal thing, right? Like, as we're in the holidays, like Kevin, you're talking, it's almost Christmas time. Like, you can envision and almost taste like, what was your home cooking meals during the holidays, right? And you almost salivate. And it's the same thing with our kids. Why can't we learn to cook what they like and make the dishes the way they want them?
Mm.
That seems awfully progressive of you, don't you think? That you're that you're giving the kids space rather than setting hard and fast rules that they then have to conform to, which may be totally different than what they're used to from somebody else, or if they come from a broken family and they're there, they may have not had any supervision at all for a period of time.
Yeah, it's finding those ways of how can we support them. And I mean, if you think about it, even in your own house, right? When you go, where does your towel go after your shower? Do you put it in your bedroom? Does it hang on the towel rack, or does it hang over the shower curtain, right? So like even those little things that you don't even think about are different for these kids. And we have to allow them that time to kind of acclimate to it and really find ways to empower them. Because when they come into foster care, it's very disempowering. You don't get a choice of where you're going. You might not get to stay in the community, school, right? And bedtime, a lot of times, like, no, bedtime is this time with this new home. And, so finding those ways to have them have their voice becomes critical for their self-esteem.
Well, as they respect you and you show them that maybe for the first time in their life, somebody cares about their opinion and respects them already for who they are as they come, doesn't it help you build a relationship with them for them to become more open with you, and you can help them further than if you were to put restrictions on them?
Sometimes it does. It takes a long time for a lot of our kids to feel safe and comfortable, because we know physical safety, but that psychological safety takes a long time. Most of our kids have had 15 to 20 different placements before they come to our home. So they have a lot of mistrust of adults. They have a lot of mistrust of us foster parents, and rightfully so. And so it's little kind of testing the waters every single day, every week. And sometimes it takes years. Sometimes we never get to that level. But just knowing like my kid's been safe for 1 or 2 years or 3 years, however long they've been with us, that they're on track to, graduate high school, or they've got their new job, right? Those are, the wins. And sometimes it's, this is the happiest time of year for us, because we hear from some of our kids, honestly, Rochelle, that maybe we haven't seen or heard from in 5 or 10 years. And get to hear that they're doing good, get to hear maybe they have their own kids, and, hear these great things of, it really is like, I tell everybody, as a foster parent, my role is to plant that seed of hope. I may never see it come to fruition, but that doesn't change my role. Keep planting those seeds, and eventually something will sprout.
I'm still stuck on the towel going on the towel rack. You mean the floor's not an option?
Oh, you're trying to start stuff, Kevin, in my house. My husband would not allow that.
Well, and it's good training for when they get cohabitating with another person, and they're maybe going to get married or stuff, that the floor probably isn't the best option anyway.
Yeah, because in those little details, Nathan, that's so important, because it's like, I'm open to understanding and letting you be exactly how you are and who you are. But let me also give you some guidelines as to what I will help you with when it comes to your future. Because if you fully allow, just be however you are, there's conflict in that, right? And it's teaching them that they don't have to have boundaries. They don't have to have respect. They don't have to have that within. But when you're allowing them the space of being who they're being, but also teaching them simple things like, do not put the towel on the floor after your shower, that settles and it builds something inside of them that whether they're with you or not, they take that further. Do you believe the same?
Oh yeah, and it's a lot of spending that time to really tell them kind of the whys behind it. And with that towel example, like if you throw the towel, in your bedroom, okay, it never dries, it gets moldy, you mold your clothes, right? So it's just helping them understand that. And you have to spend a lot more time helping them really kind of connect the dots of, well, this is the whys behind it, instead of, I told you not to do it, Kevin, don't you dare put that wet towel on my floor again, right?
Yes, Mom. I'm sorry, Mom. I won't do it again until tomorrow.
Without raising them out of fear. I like that.
Well, and I wish more parents would do that too. And by the way, we're talking with Nathan
LaChine.
Oh, perfect. Nathan LaChine. I get it now. And go to his website, which is?
Yes, go to his website, see everything he has to offer, which is Evergreen Caregiver Support.org. And we'll be right back to dig a little bit deeper with Nathan. So don't you dare go anywhere.
And we're going to talk when we come back from this quick message. We're going to introduce you to someone in Kenya who is doing a remarkable work and with the 370 kids and stuff. So he's right up your alley, Nathan, and we'll be right back. Here's another point to ponder from Positive Talk Radio. What is the easiest thing to justify? It is a small transgression. The one no one will ever see, no one will ever know. The tiny exaggeration on the expense report. The extra minute you took on your lunch break. The packaging you tossed in the wrong recycle bin because it was closer. In those moments, the question isn't, will I get caught? The question is, will I know? It isn't about avoiding punishment. It's a silent agreement you make with yourself when you choose to do the right thing. To return the wallet. To fix the mistake. To respect the empty space. You aren't impressing the world. You're earning your own respect. That small choice, made entirely in private, is how you build a life you never have to look away from. The only audience that matters is you. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin, and Rochelle is right there. We've got a great guest, and Rochelle. I'm going to preempt you because he's already got to come back for another show because we're not going to get everything done.
By far. Don't even get me started. The questions on my head. I'm like, okay, just pick one. Stay focused.
Because one of the things, and well, let's do this first, and then I've got, and I know you have got questions because you're closer to the teenage world than I am by like I don't know 40 years. So when I remember a teenager was a whole different time. The internet wasn't even around then, but there's a gentleman in Kenya, and his group of 20 people are listening to the show. And Rochelle, go ahead.
Hi, Samuel again. He says, hello, my team lead, brother Kevin, and younger sister from another mother, Rochelle, and guest speaker Nathan Sheen receive greetings from Kibera Restoring Hope Center, based in the slums of Nairobi, Kenya. Thanks, brother Kevin and sister Rochelle, for hosting speaker Nathan. We are learning from him more inspirational stories. We are listening keenly from him. Everything we are learning here, we will teach them back to the community. God bless you, team. And Kibera Restoring Hope Center says, hello there. We are listening and watching live, taking notes on this inspirational, wonderful story from speaker Nathan. Restoring Hope Center is tuned in. And Nathan, I have to tell you that this has become so important, specifically having you on the show, having them in tune, talking about this. He has allowed these children to have not just the basic needs, but voice. He started a program over this last weekend that allows all the teenagers to come together free of any judgment, with love and vulnerability, and speak about their challenges and what they're feeling and what they've been going through. And wouldn't you agree that sometimes just sitting down and not having anything to say to a child, but just listening and being with them where they're at can make the biggest difference?
Oh gosh, yes. I think, we all want to be seen and heard. And right. I'm a fixer by nature. If I see a problem, I got to fix it. And quite honestly, sometimes the best thing you can do with your kids is just reflect back what they're telling you and, just be there in the moment. So they know they're truly not alone, know they're connected. And, I love hearing that about the teenagers being able to get together, because I think our teens get prejudged of, oh, well, you're close enough to an adult, so you should know how to do these things. It's like, wait a minute. Their brains aren't even fully developed till 25. A lot of them have experienced abuse and neglect, so they're neurodivergent, and they look at things a little bit different. They just want to be part of a community and a connection, because that's what we are, right? We're all social creatures.
And Nathan, I got to ask you, because somebody in our audience is asking me to ask you, and that is, when you have a foster kid who comes to your home, mm-hmm. and he's been in 10 homes over the last 5 years, say, and has had behavioral issues and has acted out and stuff, which is how I imagine they go from home to home. And what is the first thing that you say to them? Because essentially they're broken children at this point. How do you work with them to give them the confidence and the ability that that you're there to help them? And even oftentimes, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I imagine oftentimes you can say that, but they've heard that from 9 other homes, and the 9 other homes did not do what they said they were going to do. And how do you help them? Because your role is huge, because
Yeah.
these kids are, if they don't get handled well and they don't learn, they're going to end up incarcerated. They're going to end up on drug addiction and all kinds of different stuff. How do you help them when you have that first meeting with them when they walk into your home?
Yeah, Kevin, that's a phenomenal question, and something I've always reflected on. With my work, I spend a lot of time talking with new caregivers, and I try to focus on the positives, right? And with our kids, is that every single day they do something great, they do something amazing. And if you can start focusing on those, you start building up their pool of good energy and good thoughts, right? Because we're a very reactive society. When I get pulled over by the police, it's not because, hey, you're doing the speed limit, Nathan, good job. It's I'm doing something wrong, right? So I want my kids to hear as many positive messages. I also very much am upfront with my kids of like, hey, here's what I know. Here's our routines at the house. We really want to, be here for you. My husband and I also have a really kind of eclectic, like as soon as you walk in the door, you're our kiddo. So we call all of our kids our kiddos. It's not, oh, you're our foster kids or you're this, or you're our kiddos. And sometimes that really helps with some of our kids right out the gate. Sometimes it takes a long time for them really to be connected. But I've definitely found the more you can focus on positives, the more you can give them a choice. Like, do I want you to brush your teeth and then shower, or shower then brush your teeth? Your choice, right? Doesn't make much of a difference. So finding those ways of empowering them and helping them understand like this is acceptable behaviors or this is not. And knowing that I might have to say the same thing 5, 10, 15, 20, sometimes 60 or 70 times, Kevin, because of the traumas and neglects that these kids have really faced is, they're looking at everything from that primitive, is it safe? And that takes time to get them past it because that's what the brain responds to the environment. If your environment's been chaotic and maybe not always safe, that's how you perceive the world.
I got to ask you, where did your level of patience come from?
Many, many years. It's probably why you and I rock the same hairdo, my friend. Pull out.
I'll be ready to be bald in 10 years. So thank you for that, both. But Nathan, I want to know from even your perspective, what is it like when you and your husband sit down and you have that first conversation, you recognize that one of the kids that came into your home didn't know what love really was and had this perskewed version of who they were? What are those moments like when you see that they recognize that and you sit with them and they realize not only are they loved, but they deserve to love themselves also?
Yeah, I mean, those are wonderful moments, and it takes a long time for many of our kids to get there and to be, felt and seen and heard and valued. And, I tell people a lot of times we focus on this work, I think far too much kind of on those neglects and the physical abuses, but those mental and emotional abuses and neglects can really stay with a lot of these kids and be that broken record that they constantly hear. Oh, I'm a bad kid. Oh, I'm the problem. I'm the reason XYZ happens. And those play over and over for our kids. And now you start compounding 5, 10, 15. I mean, I had a kiddo in a 5-year placement. We were placement 83 in 5 years. So that kid, what do you think their self-worth was and their, self-image was? It was so much work just to get them to be like, maybe I should, get up in the morning. I mean, that messaging gets repeated, unfortunately.
83 in 5 years, less than 5 years.
Yeah, it was within 5-year period. We were placement 83, and that's, those really extreme situations, I'm focusing on stability in the home. The kids' truth is they move every month. So when I get a call from the school of, oh, the kid's skipping, not doing their homework, not making friends. Well, obviously, if my truth was I move every month, why would I engage in school? Why would I want to hurt myself, make friends, and then get pulled away? So it's really changing how you parent and how you support them of like, well, hey, you got up today, you took your shower, you had a, breakfast, right? Those are huge wins. And, building that, kind of that collection of wins is maybe now it's, I got up, took a shower, had breakfast. Now I went to school. Now, next week it's, I didn't skip every single day. I went to one class, right? So you just adjust kind of how you were parented and raised and build on successes and focus on those successes.
How many foster care kids get to have their own bedroom? Because that is, Rochelle, that's a huge thing to have your own space that
Yeah.
you can be in.
Hugely.
Is that a thing, or do a lot of kids end up with 2 or 3 kids in the same room, kind of thing?
Kind of depends on the rooms, and there's, licensing requirements around room sharing, space and everything for the kids. I specifically bought my house here in the Tacoma area, knowing I was going to do foster care. So I actually have a 6-bedroom house. So I had already pre-planned, like, hey, here's what I want to do, and I really want to focus on working with teenagers. And I know teens need their own rooms. So I was just very fortunate that I was able to find a house that it works great for the kids, aside from we only have 2 bathrooms. So, that can be a fight in the morning, every single morning.
Yeah. Okay. So Nathan, I'm wondering, when you have, for somebody who may not know, what is the reason why kids are being filtered through all these homes, and why is the reason they tend to be with you a little longer?
It's a little bit different. So, I mean, most kids, come into care for kind of a neglect reason. And my husband and I, we focus on older youth that have been in the system for a while. So we have higher behavioral needs kiddos, so they get more stabilization services. So like in my house, we have a case manager that's in our house 1 to 2 times a week. We have in-home counseling available for the kids. We structured our work careers around being able to have that flexibility to support the kids. So our role really is to support some of these high-level kids to find out, is what does kind of permanency look like for some of them? Some of it is returning home. Some of it's going into some of the transitional housing programs, the job corps. Some of the kids go into college with, the governor's scholarship. So it's really kind of trying to figure out what's the best kind of next launching pad for our kids. And a lot of times they get to stay with us a little bit longer. And we're strategically located next to several colleges that have amazing hands-on training programs. And our high school also does a lot of hands-on training programs with one of the technical colleges, where our kids are able to do a half day regular high school, and then the other half of the day is like, oh, I want to learn to be an electrician. So you go to the community college and learn to be an electrician, auto body shops. So we really, we're kind of that nexus of just everything kind of lines up really fantastically. So we spend most of our kids are with us about a year.
That's fantastic, because Rochelle was in Job Corps, and one of the things that we discovered when she was going to send her cousin
Yes.
to go do that, and then we find out, or Rochelle tells me, that there are budget cuts that have stricken the system, and so they couldn't go as quickly. How is, and I'm not asking for you to make a political judgment here, but I'm asking for the system. Is it getting funded properly so that everybody can get what they need and getting the support help that they need? Because that is going to be what's going to make the biggest difference, isn't it?
I think having the right people in the right places and being able to provide kind of wraparound holistic services and supports are really what we need to focus in on, and not having a, one size fits all approach, because some of our kiddos very much are absolutely terrible. I was a terrible student in high school. I don't even know how I graduated. And now I've written several books and I present around the nation, right? So like knowing, hey, maybe hands-on Job Corps is a better placement for these kiddos, maybe auto body, maybe welding. I have kids that, we're next to the IBEW, and, we've had kids that have gone through their apprenticeship program that make way more money than me because they're now licensed apprentices and, moving forward. So, I mean, it's finding those right kind of mix of services and support, and how do we get the kids connected? Because I'm here in the Tacoma area, we have lots of resources, but when you go out to those rural communities, there's just not the same level of supports and options that are available. And I find the more we can empower the kids, give them the choice, the better that buy-in is to it. Because even a hands-on program, it takes a lot for you to commit to. I'm going to go there 3 days a week. I'm going to do my homework. I'm going to follow through.
Yep. And I know we need to take a quick break. I'm going to let Kevin take us into that. But when we come back, Nathan, I have to ask you, because it's heavy on my heart, not for just foster parents, not for foster kids, but everybody in general. When your child doesn't seem to have the spark or the communication to know what they want to do and why, and how you help them achieve that. Because I think we deal with that a lot more than we talk about. And the kids need somebody to be there to say, hey, no matter whether you go to school, no matter whether you have a job, no matter the background, I love you, I accept you, I am here for you, but also I want to help you move forward. So I'd love your idea on how to approach that after this break.
And beautifully put, Rochelle, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
Are you looking for your daily dose of inspiration? Stay connected to all your favorite shows, music, and news with the Brushwood Media Network app. From Positive Talk Radio to Greatest Vibes Unplugged and so many more uplifting voices around the world, everything you need is right in one place. It's easy to use, too. Always available and designed to keep you inspired 24 hours a day. Go to brushwoodmedianetwork.com and download the app, and you will always have Brushwood Media available on your smartphone. Download it now and make inspiration and music and conversation part of your everyday. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin, and Rochelle is right there. And I know Rochelle's a little under the weather, but you're handling it beautifully. And thank you for the questions you're asking, because this is really an important issue. Because I don't know, Nathan, are the kids our future?
Oh, of course they are. They're our future doctors, our future attorneys, they're our future parents. I mean, we have to invest in them now.
And when we don't, go ahead, Rochelle.
No, go ahead, Kevin. I want to hear that.
And when we don't, as a culture, and I'm talking more widespread than Washington, because Washington's got a way of doing business that I think is a little bit more progressive than some of the states. But when we as a country, when 40 million kids are going to bed hungry, or there are single families that are dysfunctional, or there's the drug addictions and all the things, and there are kids even in the state of Washington that are in 30, 40, 50 homes during the course of their 18 years. But Washington's a little progressive, because in a lot of states, Nathan, please address this. When you turn 18, you're out. You're done. They let you, they say, have a nice day, go take care of yourself. But Washington has taken a different stance in that, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. 20 years ago when I started, it really was, unfortunately, that 18, you're done. Then it was, well, if you're 18 and you're doing okay in school and you're going to graduate. Now it's actually, we have what's called extended foster care. So kids are actually able to stay in foster care until they're age 21. And the state's actually launched a couple of new programs that are more like transitional housing programs. So it's like, you kind of rent a room, and then you have check-ins on a monthly basis, and they have that style. They've even expanded now where if that youth is 19 and says, hey, you know what, I have a friend that wants me to roommate with them, the state can actually pay them, the kid directly, a basic stipend rate, so they can roommate now as well. So there's different options that are out there. And phenomenally too with the insurance now is it's actually able to go all the way till the kid turns 26. So just like a regular family of origin, the kid can stay on your insurance till 26. Now they can stay on the insurance as well. So as they're still moving around, figuring out, because come on, at 18, at 20, at heck, even 30, I'm still figuring it out, right? So it's great that there's that stability for the kids to be there. There's also additional federal and state housing voucher programs that are available for the kids to really kind of help them start to slowly transition, because we know kids at 18 aren't ready. Kids at 21 aren't really ready, right? So how do we empower them to make a choice? Do you want to stay in a traditional foster home till you're, 21, or do you want to roommate with somebody, or do you want to do like, a kind of a group care center that you have your own room and it's a shared like dormitory style, right? Shared bathrooms and kitchens, right? So they have all these different types to try to match what's best for the kiddos. Plus, they have running start programs for college-bound kiddos. You have the Job Corps that also has housing available. So there's a lot of options for the kids, and they just have to make that choice of where they want to go, and that can be real challenging for kiddos that haven't been empowered most of their life to make a choice.
Yep.
And at 18, even in a good, solid, two-parent, church-going, family-loving home with brothers and sisters, at 18, you still have no clue who you are, what you're going to be. And even if you go to college, you still don't know. They want you to declare a major when you're 19. And so that's like, to me, that makes absolutely no sense, because no 19-year-old is going to want to, unless they want to be a doctor or a lawyer or a veterinarian or something but most kids have no earthly idea what they're going to do. So I'm glad that the state of Washington. Now, are you seeing this nationwide? Are you familiar with programs like this nationwide, or is Washington unique?
So kind of every state has their own, kind of areas of opportunity and what they're doing better than some of the other states. So a lot of states are really kind of trying to pick and choose how they support the kids and the families. And I know Washington State's done a lot of unique things and has tried different tactics to support the families. So like, kinship licenses is a new, form to support families of origins. Some of the professional therapeutic foster care programs were new to Washington. And then looking at, these new transitional housing programs are also a new program here in Washington.
Are there programs for parents who lose their children because of their own bad behavior to try and fix that behavior so that they can get their children back?
Oh, yes. So foster care really is about reunification of the parents and the children. And most kids that actually come into care, a high percentage return home. What it really is it's a need. How do we give them another tool for that toolbox? And how do we empower them and get them connected to community? Because a lot of the parents have their own challenges and traumas that they're kind of bringing to the table, and the mistrust of the systems. And the more that we can be in community and in partnership with them, the more we provide parenting classes. Even the parenting classes can even include things like budgeting, how to prepare meals, how to fill out job applications. So, they have every type of support that they can dial in for that family. So foster care does what they call concurrent planning. So one path is always reunification. The other path is, what does permanency look like for the kid? And DCYF puts a lot of resources to the families. And I'm involved in a fantastic new program, Kevin, that actually is for families that the parents have had their kids removed. We actually run a support group for them. So they get to learn about topics, but it's really about connection and community, because the more we can show people, no, the community is around you. We're here to support you. We're here to rally around you and help you get your kid back, help you, whatever it is. That's where the real magic is, because in this digital age, we all get so kind of disconnected, right? And the more we connect, the more we see, the better it is for our families.
So what if the kid was like, I don't want to go back home. I want to stay with you, Nathan. I want to be in your home until I'm out on my own. Is there that option?
Sometimes there is. Most of our kiddos, quite honestly, they're teenagers, are kind of ready to rock and roll as soon as they can, but that's always an option. And that's what I was sharing with Kevin, is this is our best time of the year, because this is when we hear from so many of our kiddos. We have kids that'll show up with some of our grandbabies, and they know they're part of our family. And that's the fun dynamic with my family, is 3 generations. Every time we go for Thanksgivings, Christmases, all of these things, all of my extended family know we're foster parents as well. My family's adopted kids from foster care. So it's such a natural progression of, say, we're at my aunt's house and, behaviors present themselves. It's not this huge, oh my gosh, what's going on? It's okay. You can, take all the time you need. We have the other, we have a coat closet room that is our quiet room. And the kids just know that that's where they can go. And all of my aunts and uncles and cousins and everybody just knows, like, sometimes there's big feelings and it can be hard to process. And it's been just wonderful to see these kids and see the relationships. I mean, my parents even had some of my older kids actually do extended foster care at their place.
You said a couple of things right there that touched my heart, and I know it did Rochelle. One of them is your grandbabies. These are your foster kids that have grown up and they're having their own children, and then they come back and they bring the grandbabies to you and you call them yours. That is a sense of ownership that I wish more people had.
Well, they're ours. I mean, the kids are ours, so the grandbabies have to be ours. And it's so much fun being a grandparent because, yes, I totally set some of my boys up with, oh, yeah, no, I swear I didn't give them candy and let them stay up late. And now it's your turn to pick them up.
Well, and that's the advantage of being a grandparent. You can spoil the kid and then you send them back on a sugar high.
Exactly.
You're welcome. I dealt with it with you. You're going to deal with it with them.
Rochelle, I love that. I love that Washington is trying to be as progressive as possible, which is great. And Nathan, is there a program? Are you leading a program to help new foster parents figure out how to? Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I have to say this, Kevin, because I've been waiting. I was going to tell you that I think I've figured out. So I have infertility issues myself, and I'm trying to figure that out. And a lot of people have said, oh, well, you could be a foster parent. And that always made me so angry. But I've met people like you, Nathan, and I realized that is a greater calling than even having your own, because you're accepting the unknown. And I've learned how to do that. And so if somebody feels the way I'm doing and they're like, you know what? I feel like this is something that I could grow in the world, and I want to be that foster parent. Where would you guide them and what would you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, being a foster parent it's a unique journey. I absolutely love it. And I actually started my foster care journey as a single father. And then it wasn't until over a decade later, I met my husband, and he was crazy enough to be like, oh yes, I'll get married and become an instant father. So it's it takes a certain kind of person to really go with the flow of things. And it's been an amazing journey. And, foster care is, the intent of it is never to really grow family through adoption, but I've had such amazing relationships, even with our families of origin. We've had, we meet with our families of origin. We'll do dinners together. We'll, go out to, events together. And so when some of my kids do return home, now we get to go to that, like, crazy cool uncle status. So, the kids always have us in their lives. And it's been a beautiful journey, but it's very fraught with, heartache. And the most common kind of things I get told, I couldn't do it. My heart would break. And I tell everybody, I said, if your heart's breaking when a kid has to move, that means you're doing it right, because each one of these kids deserves a piece of your heart and soul. And no matter whether you have them for a day, a month, a year, they're yours. They're your family. And that means you're doing it right when they leave and it hurts. Because I chose to be a foster parent, these kids didn't choose to be in foster care.
Now, I have to ask you, are the foster kids that you take, are they mostly boys or boys and girls? Is there a mix, or how does that work, and how do they place people? Is it based upon, well, I don't know. How do they place people?
Yeah, so we take a mix of kids. Primarily it's usually male identifying, but we take boys, girls. We're licensed for teenagers for both genders. And all genders here in Washington State, just like everyone else is. So placement decision is really done. What are the needs of the kiddo? And then do they need their own room? Would they prefer their own room, or can they room share? And then they'll make those determinations for the kiddos of what's best. My husband and I primarily get a lot of LGBTQIA+ youth because they're, highly overrepresented within systems of care. So a lot of our kids are part of the queer community and looking for their chosen family, looking for a place to call their own and, build from here.
To belong. They're human. It's all love.
And Rochelle, what Rochelle said is absolutely correct, but there are people in our society, if you present yourself as being a gay person and you're a teenager, sometimes families don't know how to handle it and don't appreciate it. And so is that how some of the kids end up in foster care? Is they don't feel appreciated, so
Parents are waiting for the phase to end. I've heard that from parents themselves.
Yeah, I mean, kids come into care for a lot of reasons, and unfortunately, we still have those challenges of kids being kicked out of their homes. Statistically, we really see is that there's higher rates of unsafe homes for the kids. Eloping behaviors or runaway behaviors start presenting because our kids want to be connected. So in foster care here in Washington State, we have about 30-ish, 35% of the kids in foster care identify as part of the LGBTQI plus community. They're looking to be seen, they're looking to be heard, they're looking to be validated. And if they can't get it in their homes, they're looking elsewhere, like the internet, or it's just not safe in their communities. And we see that maybe they're on a gender journey and they can't feel safe in their own home or their community. So that might be a reason. Parenting challenges, right? It can be challenging dealing with teens these days, right? Because now we have the internet, we have all of these things coming at you at, warp speed. So it can be a lot. And I find with a lot of my families of origin, when we provide that education and support of, this is truly who they are. It's not somebody didn't make them that way. This is just who they truly believe and who they are. And it's our role just to support them being amazing human beings. That's all I want from everyone, right? If we can all just be amazing, loving, caring, the world would be a different place.
We're all human, no matter the age.
And it doesn't matter whether you are, what color you are. It doesn't matter who you love. It doesn't matter any of those things. That we all need to be treated with respect and kindness. And so that everybody can walk their individual journey, because my journey has been completely different than a lot of other people's journeys and stuff. So, and by the way, Sam Wells says very inspirational brother, speaker Nathan, and we love Sam Wells. He's got a heart of gold, and he's doing well, as do you, young man. And I can say young man because you are, but. And by the way, the clip I'm about to play is good if you are in a family situation, if you're in a business situation. Leadership is an important aspect for all of us. So listen to this and we'll be right back. Here are some points to ponder from Positive Talk Radio. Some say leadership is about getting the work done, about pushing forward, no matter the cost. But what's the cost of a team with no purpose? What if a single act of support, a single moment of genuine grit could change everything? What if leadership was a catalyst? Because true leadership isn't about being in control. It's about empowering others to find their purpose. It's about leading with passion and igniting the fire in everyone around you, creating a culture of teamwork and common purpose. A true leader finds this culture by enthusiastic purpose and team development, making each team member feel empowered to create, improve, and execute their tasks with genuine passion and a strong belief in the company's mission and focus. In other words, lead with purpose. And welcome back to Positive Talk. Rochelle is right there, and Nathan...
LaChine. Go visit his website, which is evergreencaregiversupport.org. And Nathan, before we move forward, I just have to say it's an honor to have you here for the person you are, the work that you're doing. I'm thinking of the way the parents feel when they know they haven't done good enough for any given reason, and they themselves need help, so their children have been taken somewhere else to get that help. And do you ever happen to have communication with the parents? Are they still involved? Is that usually separated? How does that work?
Yeah, sometimes, the parental rights are still there and the parents are highly involved. and especially the extended family. I think we kind of miss that. Like, if just because the parents aren't involved doesn't mean the siblings, the aunts, the uncles, grandparents. So I get to spend a lot of time getting to know my, kiddos' extended families and provide those connections. And I think a lot of times, most of the kids are coming in because of a deficit, and it's just a tool deficit, right? Teaching a new way to parent these kiddos, new supports for the families of origin. And when you provide that education and that support and that community, they usually thrive, and our kids can go back. A high percentage of kids that are in foster care go back home to their families of origin when they get that supports from the community. And that's what we need to see more of, is all of us coming together to support the families.
Well, community is the big thing. And right now with social media and smartphones and all of that, social interaction is less and community is less. Are there programs, or is it through the churches? How can we bring people together so that they can build community?
Yeah, I think, the program's wide ranging. There's some that are through nonprofits, there's some that are religious based. A lot of the schools have their own, moms and dads programs, their own after school programs. A lot of, the Boys and Girls Clubs, the Y Clubs, all of those are community based. And there's ways you can get involved, because I totally understand not everybody can be a foster parent, but you can be a big brother or sister to these kids. You can help with, fundraisers. You can help get the word out. The holiday season, there's some amazing programs out there that rely solely on volunteers to help do toy drives. Some of the big toy drives that go on need volunteers every single year. So there's always ways you can get involved.
And I hope everybody will. Rochelle?
Yeah. First of all, I'm going to go online and I'm going to see what I can do. Kevin has been so blessed with me to give me Wednesday off, and I feel like that's something I would like to fulfill that day with doing. But I'm also thinking, Nathan, do you have, how does it work for parents when they need help? Is there places that they can go and resources that they can find to say, hey, I love my children, I want to be who I need to be, but I need help? Does that kind of run in the same path? Because usually when they find the kids and all of this gets changed, it's in a different way than if the parents ask for the help, right?
It depends on the situations, because it's all about safety. And, talking with the kids as primary care physician, the PCP, is always a great place to start. You can reach out to the department directly if you're looking for resources, and you'd be surprised how many free parenting classes are out there, how many housing support programs are out there, how many concrete goods programs and vouchers are out there, because truly in Washington State, they've learned is like removing the kids is harmful. Just bringing them into care is a harm. So if we can provide those supports to the point that those parents can even get in-home counseling for the kids, so they don't even have to be removed and that additional trauma put on them. So the state's really trying to find ways, how do we keep that family together? What can we layer on? How do we support? The courts are really looking at that as well, of what do we do to support and empower?
Well, Nathan, I've learned so much during this show, for one of which is don't leave your towel on the floor. And the other one is, what do you mean you're getting Wednesday off, Rochelle?
Well,
it's Christmas Eve. I feel
that's
like
what the people know. I'll be commenting, I'll be touching base with our guests, I'll be sending emails. I've got a lot of phone calls to make that day. But specifically with you, Nathan, before we close out the show and everything, I'd love to know, is there something special or specific that you are doing with you and your kiddos in your home for this Christmas?
Yeah, we're going to all make a dish. So, and some of our kids, it might just be mac and cheese, but everybody make a dish, and usually
fancy mac and cheese
and top ramen next to our turkey. So be it.
Well, and here are some points to ponder from Positive Talk Radio. Some say leadership is about getting the work done, about pushing forward, no matter the cost. But what's the cost of the team? Here are some points. I don't know what happened there. I hit the wrong button, apparently. But I think that's great. Why don't more school systems, and because there used to be something when I was going to school called home ec. I don't know. They even have home ec anymore?
That's definitely been one of the challenges. So Washington State actually has what they call the Independent Living Skills Program. So they actually have agencies throughout the state that actually teach kind of these basic home ec, from resume writing to cooking to budgeting. They even will have access to clothing closets so the kids can get, interview clothes. Even learning how to tie a tie, right? I mean, like these things that we used to always teach in high school and middle school, the state now provides that through their independent living skills program.
Now, is that in every high school? Or is that just...
That's actually through the foster care system. So that's statewide. And that's something that the state identified as, like, again, at 18, a lot of these kids aren't ready to launch. At 21, they're not. Let's teach them how to budget. Let's teach them how to cook. Let's teach them these life skills.
One of the scary... Oh, go ahead, Rochelle. No, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, if somebody's in another state that doesn't have these things and they don't have what they need to move, what more can we do to bring that to our city?
So most of the states actually get together and actually talk about what's working, what are there's opportunity, what are new programs. So there's federal partnerships that bring those forward. Quite honestly, anybody who's hearing me that's interested in any of these programs, shoot me an email, go to my website, evergreencaregiversupport.org. I will be more than happy to get you connected. I don't know how state to states go, but I can get you to the program manager to talk about what they're seeing that's working, because this is where the magic happens, folks. The more we're in community, the more we support each other, the better it is for our kids.
Well, and just as a preview of coming attractions, tomorrow we have a young lady who's been in the child welfare system in Florida for the last 20 years. And it's a way different system there than it is in Washington. And I think there's a blueprint that can be taken nationwide, because so many kids, and I wanted to point this out, and I think I talked to you before, Nathan, that this national statistics are 25% of foster care kids that age out of the system, 25% have a high school diploma, which means that 75% don't. And also a large percentage of them end up in the criminal justice system, either sooner or later. And we have got more people in prisons per capita in the United States than any other country in the world. I think that if we invested more into our children and their safety and to take care of them on a national basis, that we would be much better off. And it probably wouldn't cost that much, because putting somebody in jail costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that, Nathan?
I wholeheartedly do. I mean, the more we can understand that we're seeing trauma responses for the kids, the more we can empower them, the more we understand and support them now, the better their outcomes are. Because there is high rates of incarceration in the U.S. There's high rates of, incarceration, especially for foster youth, that, they just are responding to the traumas and the neglects they've experienced.
And a lot of kids, especially, well, I guess just a lot of kids, trauma, especially sexual trauma, is a big deal in all of these kids' lives. Are there programs that the state of Washington uses to help get them some of the psychological help that they need?
Yeah, there's a lot of different programs. So there's in-home services, there's services through traditional modes of counseling. The insurance provider actually provides everything from equine therapy to TFCBTs to EMDR. So all of these different modalities are available for these kids, because we've learned is that, again, one size doesn't fit all. And some of these modalities have so much better results for kids that have maybe experienced neglect or maybe some complex traumas over years. So being able to offer those supports and services as a wide-ranging, a la carte option empowers the therapist to try different modalities, different ways that might work better for that kid.
Taking an inner city kid and putting him in a situation where he can actually ride a horse and can learn how to deal with those things, that can be a life-changing thing all by itself. So we can do better, and with Nathan's help, we can. Rochelle, go ahead.
Kevin, I'm thinking that if we as each other, right, wherever we go, whatever we do, we have these, once you get to an adult system, you're like, oh, well, they're just that way. They're stubborn. They're this, they're that. If we can learn to kind of do that with our children, but understand why, it's not, a lot of us are like, we put our own fears on them as adults and as parents, right? Well, we don't want them to go down that same track. So we're going to try to protect them. But really what we're doing is suffocating them. And so if you're like, you and your husband are the glowing global view of what I would describe as something that is safe for a child. And really, I don't know would you say there's anything else that matters more to a child that is so confused than safety? Does it really just come down to that?
I think it comes down to safety and connection. They want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be part of a community, they want to be loved. And unfortunately, so many of our kids don't feel that. And the disconnect that happens, especially in our digital age, becomes so harmful to our kids. And what they're really wanting is something to call their own.
And that carries forward to their life and can become a generational issue. Nathan, thank you so much. And Rochelle is going to take us out, and at the end of the show, she does such a good job at this.
Well, Nathan, Kevin already said this, but you have to come back. There's even behind scenes, I could talk to you way too exclusively, but we want to help these people. I know that you have the same burning desire in your heart that these kids deserve to know they are as important as we see them to be. So as we close out the show, I would love for you to give us your website again, and any other ways that people can get in contact with you for any given reason of information. And then any message just on your heart to share with us through the day.
Yeah, thank you. I would love to come back and continue the conversation. And, I can be reached at evergreencaregiversupport.org. My email, our contact forms on there, all of my trainings and contract work is on there that's available. Really, I'd love to hear from anyone and everyone around the world, because the more we can connect, the more we can share our successes, the better it is for our families. And as we're going through, these times of year, always remember, family is who you make it. And my family is huge because I've had the privilege of being a foster parent, and you can have that same privilege.
Amen. Blood
is overrated. It's being kind and taking care of each other. And that's much more. You don't have to be the same bloodline. So thank you, Nathan, for being here. And I really appreciate all the work you're doing. You and your husband really need to be congratulated. So thank you. And by the way, one other thing. Next time we have you on, if you have a kiddo or two that would love to be on a radio show, I would love to have them here. Then give them their 15 minutes of fame, and we can tell them how great they are.
We'll talk about it.
Let it be complicated.
Yeah, they just have to be FCC compliant, if you know what I mean.
I've had my practice. I believe in them.
Nathan, thank you so much. And Rochelle's website again is?
Yes, go to his website if you want to find Nathan. If you have any questions at all, as he said, evergreencaregiversupport.com. Nathan, I cannot wait to see you again, and I'll save my questions for next time.
Fantastic.
Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got.